Hi, Brian. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
Welcome to the intro of episode of the Intellectual Podcast.
Yeah.
Hey.
The Supermodel episode.
Yeah, we just put episode 30 up.
Wow.
So this, I don't think I'm going to an intellectual threesome, so I think this will be episode 31.
Okay.
Very cool.
Going into the 30s in style. We finished the 20s with the delightful Megan Hayes, who, she's my Twitter friend and my Facebook friend, and I'm, super happy about that. She's incredibly cool. Yeah. And now we're launching into the 30s with Cynthia Kirchner, supermodel extraordinaire, actress,
Genius.
and genius.
She was wonderful. She really was.
Absolutely.
Also somebody who, I think is the coolest person to have as a friend.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is looks, brains, an incredible personality, wonderful person to be with, very warm, very opening.
Oh, my phone's making noises. I apologize.
That's all right.
Your son's making noises too, though, B. So. Come here, come say goodnight.
Come say goodnight. Come here.
Oh, the 4-year-old's on the loose.
Say goodnight, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
I want headphones.
Tomorrow. We'll do headphones tomorrow.
We'll do a podcast with you tomorrow, okay?
I want headphones.
We'll do headphones tomorrow. I love you. Good night.
I want my headphones.
Okay, you'll get your headphones tomorrow. Good night. All right.
He's so cute.
Absolutely.
So anyway, yes, Cynthia is amazing. We met with her at her house up in Hollywood, and
Very gracious.
driving up there. I don't know about you guys, but I'd done a little bit of research on her before we went. I don't do that very often, but since we had first met her at the red carpet at the Oscar pre-party, I was like, oh, that girl is incredible, and I want to know more about her. So I checked up a little bit on her before we went. I probably shouldn't have done it. So I was terrified going up there.
She's got what? She graduated college at 19 with a Bachelor of Arts and 2 master's degrees.
It's crazy.
That is absolutely insane.
Yeah. And then she went and started modeling. And
Yeah.
she's modeled for every major hair product.
Mm-hmm.
And what's even more amazing, the first week that she started modeling,
Yeah.
she becomes the guest girl.
She's
She did contract with Victoria's Secret and almost made it into Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, but she explains to us why she didn't. She blames herself for that. She's fascinating. It was fascinating to sit and just kind of let her talk. Really,
Yeah. She was very, very talkative. I loved that.
Yeah,
and on all kinds of subjects.
No,
it was great.
Well, the whole thing started out, and I want to preface this interview with, we had been talking with her already for about 40 minutes, and I finally just got tired of waiting to start the podcast, and I just hit record. So the point we come in on the podcast is mid-conversation. And I think we're talking about writing screenplays and stuff at the start, and one of the things she talks about is how difficult it is for her to write. She's a very good writer, which is something I say about myself, but she has a very hard time getting the thought to paper as fast as the thought hits her brain, which is also the problem I have all the time. You can go back and listen to some of the writing podcasts, and you'll hear me say that word for word exactly the way she does in this podcast. It was like staring into a really beautiful mirror version of myself.
Yes. That's what was a little intimidating for me, was that someone that beautiful, physically beautiful,
and naturally physically beautiful, not a tuck, not a nip, not an enhancement of any kind. Plus, she was wearing minimal amount of makeup, stunningly, and just a beautiful personality as well. I mean, she was talkative, but she wasn't bland. She wasn't boring. She had
very genuine,
very genuine, very authentic. Everything
very open.
Yeah.
I mean,
extremely. I mean, there was no topic that she would
we
talk
get
about.
into all these topics. We talk about acting. We talk about all the art stuff like we normally do, but we talk about growing up in Brooklyn and how she felt like a minority there, and she didn't feel pretty until she was older, and all these very honest things. She talks about how hard it is to be in Hollywood and be pretty.
Don't I know it?
But I mean, it's a weird burden at that point, because she is the really pretty girl, so she's only going to be pigeonholed into certain types of roles until she finds something that helps her break out of that.
This new movie could be it. Hotbot that she talks about that's coming out. That it could be pretty cool.
Maybe
It might be able to launch her into more of a sci-fi bent career. Kind of like Tricia Helfer did with Battlestar.
Yeah, but hopefully she won't go the same way as in Weird Science.
Kelly LeBrock.
Well, Kelly LeBrock, what happened to her career after that, because it flatlined after that.
Well, I mean, she was just a model before
She was
that.
just
But what I'm saying is Cynthia has done more acting already and started out as an actress, went model, is now back, and she's got a very definitive kind of thing that she wants to do as an actress, and I think she's really pushing for that,
Definitely.
So it's going to be fascinating to watch her career evolve, and I'm looking forward to it. And my God, she's just so interesting to be around. We talked about ancient aliens. And going into some bigger theories that we're engineered and whatever, and I got to tell you, it's all the same conversations I used to have with my dad. Like, I miss my dad being gone, because he was the only guy I could talk to about stuff like that, because it was okay with him.
Exactly.
But it was so cool to just sit and be there with Cynthia while she talked and see her brain just kind of go.
Right. I mean, normally when you see something like that, they would just be vapid and vacuous and just really bland with absolutely nothing interesting to say.
Boy, tell us how you really feel about pretty people.
And very shallow. But, it's what I've had to go through.
Because you are vacuous. And
because people hate me because I'm so beautiful.
Wow.
But
no comment.
No comment. Okay.
Steve's lost in delusions of grandeur.
Hey, it's all I have left.
You take a little hair off the man, and he thinks he's, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Hey, one layer at a time, dude.
Well, anyway, here is, like Megan, Cynthia was just so fascinating. And so much fun to be in the presence of. This interview goes about an hour and 50 minutes as well. So here is the first hour or so of our 2-part podcast episode with Cynthia Kirchner. It's get ready for a ride. She takes us everywhere.
Relax, strap in. And
if she didn't have a place to be, we could have made it a 3-part episode easily.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Yeah.
And if we had recorded the conversation while she was making the iced tea and the hot tea and stuff,
we were 2.5 really already.
She would probably be making us dinner.
Yeah.
Well, she told us we should be there on
during the week.
I think she actually says it here. You should come back here during the week sometime. Little does she know, she's going to get a call.
Knock, knock, knock.
What's for dinner?
What's for dinner, Cynthia?
George, dude.
Oh, yeah, we got to get George on the podcast.
Yeah. George, if you're listening, get a hold of us. We'd love to.
George, you're next.
George.
Now, he told us to contact Cynthia and arrange it through her.
Cool. You're next.
Her boyfriend, Steve.
Oh, Jordan.
Keep up.
Thank you.
All right.
Here's episode 31 of the Intellectual Podcast with Cynthia Kirchner. You're listening to the Intellectual Network at theintellectual.com. And now, the Intellectual Podcast.
On paper, and I'd start to work. I'm like erase. I'm actually an incredible writer. I wrote
That's
all
exactly the way I am.
high school. Well, what it is I'm like, I write it down and I'm like, oh, no. No, I want this. And then there's so many ideas flowing.
You fight for where the comma's going to go.
That's what you do. Is what
You
I
fight
do.
for where the comma's going to go, because that's my problem. It's like, do I use a comma? Do I not use a comma?
Oh no, I got the comma down. The comma.
down.
I actually no. Actually, my grammar and my punctuation are like amazing. But what it is I have a problem. Too many ideas streaming out at one time because my mind works too fast.
Yep.
So as I'm getting older now, and my mind is getting sharper, and I'm having more knowledge, my mind is moving so much because that's why I talk a lot. Because I have so many things that I want to tell you, and I don't know where to start. So when I'm writing, it's the same thing, but what I'm good at is brainstorming. So if you stick me in a room...
It's like looking in a mirror that has a better reflection of me. But
Oh, look at it. I love it. So yeah, that's what I'm really good at is like and I'm good at not just at writing, but everything. So branding and marketing. And so there's a lot of people that have tried to actually get me to come work for their company, and I'm also good at sales because I'm thinking on my feet and I'm moving really fast, and that's why I'm good with improv. That's why I'm good with stand-up, even though I don't do it. But that's how it works, is my mind just moves really, really fast, and I can shoot out ideas. So when it would come to like any project that I worked on throughout my entire life, whether it was high school or middle school or college, I was always like the person that just took over the project, and I'm like, all right, this is what we're doing. Oh yeah, and you know what, we do this, and this, and I always just brought it. So that's why I would really love the 48-hour film festival, but I'm also one of those people that shoots out ideas that everyone's like, it's not possible, Cynthia. I'm like, look, it's possible. I just have to stay up the entire day. You know? You guys sleep. I'll see you in 48 hours. But that's just, and I'm not even kidding. I will stay up.
When we do the 48-hour,
Do you guys all stay up?
Who stays up?
Nobody's
the longest?
sleeping. And you know you need to stay up, right? I have a Mountain Dew.
I cannot stop.
Mountain
I cannot
Dew.
stop until the job's done.
Mountain Dew will do it. Do the do. No, that really works. It's true.
I'm trying to avoid the sugar as much as I can these days. But
That's a good thing. I've had no sugar for 40 days.
yeah, Dr. Pepper used to be my drink of
Dr.
choice.
Pepper, that's like the same thing as Mountain Dew. I'm doing no sweets and no desserts. I'm not religious, but everyone else is doing this 40-day thing, so I just thought I would join them. I'm just wondering what day I'm on. Does anybody know? Is anybody here practicing Lent?
It's about 7 days.
It's only a weekend.
No. Well, then I started before. It can't be 7 days. Really?
Almost.
Yeah, well,
I think Tuesday.
Fat
Tuesday
giving
was
up
like-
sugar shot for me today. So
No, that was 2 weeks ago. Fat Tuesday.
I think Brian's
Yeah,
got a
because I
cell
did it.
phone,
I'm in my
so
own
he could
little
check
pod.
the-
I did. Do you guys know Lexi Ainsworth from General Hospital?
I know the name.
Lexi. So Lexi did she's a young girl, 21. She did a Fat Tuesday party at her house with pajamas. So I wore these Hello Kitty pajamas, and I showed up with like 3 stuffed animals. And we did pancakes and Taboo, and I killed everybody in Taboo. Completely annihilated them. And that was Fat Tuesday, and I know that it wasn't last Tuesday. So, okay, good. I'm 14 days in.
Steve and I just got back from a trip to the Philippines, and we flew on Eva Air, and we actually flew on the Hello Kitty plane from LAX to Taipei.
You did?
Everything was
inside
Hello
and
Kitty.
out was Hello Kitty. The
Oh, okay.
Big
outside-
Hello Kitty decals on the side of the 777. You go inside, every monitor when you get into the plane got Hello Kitty animations.
I
playing
like
on it.
that.
Everything.
Even the dinner.
And this is to Taiwan.
Yeah, we sat
Now, is she
down for
born in
dinner.
Taiwan? This Hello Kitty? I thought she was
It's
Japanese.
Japanese. It's Sanrio.
She's Filipino? What did you say?
That's okay. We were going to the Philippines.
What did you just say, though?
He's getting
I did say
confused.
Philippines.
I'm like, really? I did not know
pretty
that Hello
sure-
Kitty was Filipino because she looks Japanese.
I'm pretty sure she's Japanese, but
I believe
but
so, too.
they've got this huge presence at the Taipei airport, and even our dinner on the plane. When the dinner comes, it's put down. The placemat under the food, Hello Kitty. The plasticware, Hello Kitty. The dental floss, Hello Kitty. The carrot slice that's in the side dish,
Hello Kitty.
shaped like Hello Kitty and even pressed to have her eyes and bow tie. It was amazing.
It is amazing.
You go in the bathroom,
Hello Kitty toilet
Hello
paper.
Kitty lotion, Hello Kitty soap, Hello Kitty toilet paper. It was unbelievably.
Everybody,
just-
all
This
the,
is the Taiwanese plane?
yeah, and all the flight attendants had Hello Kitty aprons, and it was just when we were.
and it was the
LAX,
nicest. It was the nicest airline
coach
experience I have ever
had. And it was just incredible. You just see in the terminal, you just see this entire cadre of flight attendants literally marching, or actually they glided. They were
Yeah.
gliding
No marching.
into the.
Well, I
plane.
think they're actually probably trained to glide.
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
for sure.
the Asian culture with women is really interesting. They're actually like they have to go through a lot of finishing school and a lot of training in order to like really be out in the public.
It really reminded me of the old Pan Am stewardesses, honestly.
I tried to get on the Pan Am show.
Oh, I was kind of bummed when that show got canceled. I was actually enjoying it.
I actually almost got the role of Margot Robbie in Wolf of Wall Street. And she started off in Pan Am, and that was her one-up on me. And she does the role, and if she didn't accept the role, they were looking at me. So, but I would have had to be naked a lot. Yeah. Did you guys see Wolf of Wall Street?
I haven't, but I've heard about that.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. That would have been a lot of nudity. So, okay, actually. I'll live. So, yeah, what do you guys want to talk about?
Well, we're recording already. So
well, that's fine. I don't mind that.
We've got a little bit of that stuff. So, well, Cynthia, thank you, for bringing us into your home and letting us sit and chat with you.
You should come during the week when we have like goodies and like appetizers. And...
Don't tempt us. We'll be here all the time.
Actually, I could have done that for you. I didn't get back from the dog park. It was all Bella's fault.
Well, it's okay. We just came from the San Fernando Valley Comic Con, so we were just. With
I actually heard that you guys were there. And I was a little jealous. Where was that at?
It was in this little strip mall, and they have this little.
Where? No, how far? Where is it?
It's like 20 minutes, 25 minutes from here. In Granada Hills. So it was fun. We had a really good time.
Well, you guys met my boyfriend, George. Yeah. He's a huge comic fan, actually. Do you guys know this store, Oz? AAHS?
Sounds familiar.
Okay, it's a place that sells, like, all this kind of comic stuff and superhero things. Mm-hmm. And I found this store, and I've now figured out where he gets all my gifts from. He gets me... I mean, he once got me, like, some Catwoman, like, robe. And like he got me the Ted doll.
Nice.
I have there's a chair upstairs. I'll let you come take some photos upstairs. There's a chair upstairs that literally has like this the Ted doll, has a doll from LMFAO, Party Rock.
Nice.
And a bunch of other like comic things. So these are the gifts he gets me, and I mean it's interesting.
Well, it sounds like the gifts that Brian and my sister Teresa go through.
That'd be awesome.
You do it too.
I do that stuff. We do that stuff too. We'll get little
Wonder Woman.
I think you guys
robes.
are
He's
buying
got a Superman
stuff.
robe.
So you're sort of. I think what happens is that they're buying stuff for them, for us, which is a sweet thing. It's coming from the heart.
This is not new. So just let you know.
It's new for me.
Here's a bowling ball.
I'm used to sort of like like candy, cupcakes, perfume. I'm used to like girly gifts. It's new for me to get Superman underpants and Catwoman robe.
These are better gifts. I'm telling you that.
They are? Okay. Glad to know that. All right. So that's, and I actually...
Anybody can get you chocolate. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Well, the role that I play...
To really decide on a good comic book gift takes a lot of thought.
That's what I thought. That's why I felt good about it. I was like, you actually put thought in this. The role that I play, which actually is with Doug, by the way. Doug stars in the movie with me. It's Hotbot. I think you heard about that already. That's Anthony Anderson, Larry Miller, Donald Faison, Angela Kinsey, and Danny Masterson. I didn't say Danny, right? Sometimes I put Danny's name where Donald's name should be. Okay.
Because they're both D's. Donald Faison is
Donald Faison and Danny Masterson. And the film is actually a modern day Weird Science, which is one of these cult picture kind of things. And I play a robot. So Kelly LeBrock's character, she was like a scientific creation. Mm-hmm. My character is a robot that was created, and she's supposedly supposed to be a sex robot. So and it's the Polish brothers, Mark and Michael Polish, and Michael Polish married Kate Bosworth recently, so he's been really kind of getting a lot of publicity for that, and people are starting to know his name a little more. But the film is about Bardot. I was created by Larry Miller, his character. And he's like a senator, and they create this, multi-million, billion-dollar robot. And during my demo mode, I walk off, and now I'm lost. And so they're trying to find me. So I get found in...
It's a nice twist on that.
Yeah, I get found in the forest by these two nerdy kids. Doug plays one of the nerds, and Zach Perlman plays the other, and they do really look terrible and nerdy in this movie. They did it perfectly. It sits and everything. I was like, and Doug's skin is actually really cleared up. But yeah, in the film, he has lots of pimples and stuff. And so they find me, and Doug's the nice kid who falls in love with me. Zach's like the jerk. He was just like, we're going to get her, we're going to screw her, we're going to nail her, but he doesn't say it in those nice terms. Because I'm a sex robot. And so actually at first they don't know I'm a sex robot. They think I'm real because I'm $1 billion robot. So I look real. I kind of feel real, and everything is pretty real about me. But she's a computer. So she is programmed to you, like your preferences. She starts to learn you. She knows everything. Like she could be your GPS, you know, she can look up numbers. She knows things that you don't know. She's a supercomputer, also sex robot. Like amazing, right? She could probably turn your
Every
TV
guy's
on.
dream.
Yeah. And so, her name is Bardot. So I look like a little bit like Bridget Bardot in the movie, and that was the whole premise. And so then, you know, it's a comedy, so there's a lot of little funny things. And Donald Faison and Angela Kinsey are actually married in the movie, which is an interesting little couple. Angela plays on The Office, I don't know if you guys know, and Donald actually does Scrubs, and then he has Dads, I think, or something.
We're big fans of Donald Faison.
Okay. So they're married in the movie, and that's actually Doug's parents. And Donald plays his stepfather.
Okay.
And so they have like this biracial kid in the movie, and she's a little girl, and she's like a Baptist girl, and they're always going to church. So she actually knocks on my dollhouse one day. And so now I'm a sex robot. They go to school. He has me in his sister's dollhouse. Doug's character is Huffy. He's hiding me in his sister's dollhouse, which is adorable, by the way. It's like this pink and white dollhouse. I live in there like I'm a Barbie doll. And they go to school, and they're like both virgins. So they're convinced they're going to get me when they get home. And here the little girl comes and knocks on the door, and she says, "Have you thought about letting Jesus in your life?" You know how like they go door to door? So I let her in my little dollhouse. And she teaches me, if you liked it, you should have put a ring on it. She teaches me about chastity. And basically, I memorized the entire Bible. So he comes home from school, and I'm like, "Do you love me? You know, like, you know, if you liked it, you should have put a ring on it." And I do this whole thing to him, and then they get really mad at the little sister for like deprogramming me. They're so pissed. So they take me to the mall, and this is going to have like a lot of little things that you're going to see like with modern science. How there's that guy Chaz, right? Mm-hmm. The older brother. Well, there's a character that's like a really good looking, and his name is like missing me right now. His name is John, and I can't think of John's last name right now, but he's a really young, popular actor. I think he plays in some Disney things. And John is in there, and he actually plays like this really good looking, like the jerk, like the high school jerk. They see me at the mall when they're taking me to the mall to get me a ring, to put a ring on it, so they can get me in bed here. So they're taking me to the mall, and they dress me up, and she goes through a whole thing, and now she has cute clothes, and she does a whole thing. Then they take me, there's a scene where I'm solar charging in the sun because I'm a robot. It's really cute. But in the end, you know, they fight.
When you charge, I mean, is it the sound from a PC charging up, or is it the Mac?
That was actually one of the things they thought about. Yeah. There's a scene when they are actually, I have a credit card swipe. So there's another character,
I don't
David Shackelford. It's in my mouth, actually.
Oh, okay.
David Shackelford also plays in the movie, and David plays like the 35-year-old that's friends, you know, guy that runs a sex shop that's friends with the two teenagers, you know, and he's like, you know, like the needy kind of the nerdy geek. Who, like, I just made up that word, right? What do they call it? Niki? It's a nerdy geek that, you know, is 35 years old and has friends that are like 15 years old. That's, you know, Doug and Zach Perlman. And so they go there and they end up finding out that, there's something where there's the PC. And I think he reprograms me to a Mac. And they're super offended that there's like a virus in there and this whole thing. And so there's some sounds when they actually swipe the credit card. And that was the other thing that comes up funny in the end is that Donald Faison's character, he took his father's credit card. So the whole time I'm being billed to this credit card. And then, so then what happens is that she reprograms me, they try to reprogram me, but then in the end, I get stolen by like the high school boy who then takes me and, you know, does the bad things to me. But then Doug, they try to rescue me. And at the same time, Anthony Anderson and Danny Masterson are the two dumb agents who are like Dumb and Dumber, like trying to like get me and find me again for Larry Miller, who's the senator. And in the end, they don't get me, and Doug sends me off to Japan. And the sequel is probably going to be is that I'm like now a robot and I'm back with my people in Japan. But yeah, that's what happens is that he basically sends me off, and at the end, Doug gets to kiss me, and a little tear comes down, and Doug was all impressed that I could get it out of the one eye. And we do a little kiss, and then I cry, and a little tear goes down, and I go, "I didn't know that I could do that." And he's like, "What, cry?" I was like, "Love." It was very cute. And that's like the end of the movie, because it's a comedy, it's for teenagers. And then it says, in the the first movie, they say keep it real. So keep it real is crazy to say because I'm a robot, and Doug never gets to actually lose his virginity. But there was also a girl in the film, Cassidy, that is like the high school girl that is real, that Doug should really be with. So there's always, these characters. And so he's supposed, and that's Kirby Blanton who plays that, and she's an adorable actress as well, Kirby. Kirby does Disney stuff as well, and actually her and John do stuff together, and I wish I knew more about their other previous films, but I mean, I'm sure they don't know my previous films, and I know Grady Nelson, the film, we don't all know each other's resumes, but
it's a little disturbing when everybody walks around like Wikipedia.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one more thing about the film that I thought was really funny is that there's my favorite scene in the entire movie, and there's a lot of really great scenes. I mean, you guys, you can imagine. It's not a serious film. I'm not going to win an Oscar, but it's a fun film that was really fun to have as a first time. Yeah, it's full of joy. That'll make that other guy happy. I forget what his name is. I think it's Miguel or something. His name is Emilio or something that wrote to me. But what it is I do an homage to Sean Young from Blade Runner.
Nice.
So the nerdy guy, David Shackelford's character, gets me while they're off fighting off the agents. Doug and Zach are off somewhere. And I'm in the hotel room with David Shackelford. David Shackelford's character is crazy. And David Shackelford, if you guys look him up, is an amazing actor. Brilliant. Larry Miller, too. I mean, these guys are like brilliant actors. Been doing this for a long time. And so David and I, we both, as actors, both wanted to mess with each other a little bit, I think. And they put like a smoky hotel room, and he gives me the replicant test. And so it's the exact questions from Blade Runner. And I'm there, and I have and he didn't know. That was the one thing I wanted to add to the scene that wasn't in the script. So I asked the director if I would, I said, listen, can I, and I asked the prop guys, listen, can you guys get me some cigarettes? The prop guys were amazing. They got me a little like metal case and everything, and I slipped it in my boot. And so he didn't know that I was going to smoke. And I don't smoke, but I think it feels really sexy, and I like kind of playing with it. But
it's weird how something so kind of gross actually can come across.
By the way, I have
sexy.
a huge problem with cigarettes, and that's why my voice was hoarse too, is because people were smoking last night, and it affects me, and I have a problem with that. But I have an allergy. So anyway, I had this cigarette, and the whole time I never blinked, and I would just blow it. I was actually, after the performance happened, I thought that was like some of my best work. Like I really couldn't feel like, I didn't miss a beat. I never blinked. I outstared him. The complete replicant test. And I pulled it out, and then he did something. He threw in an extra, he threw in an extra question that wasn't in the film or was in it, and then it wasn't in the script. It was something about people come in and they people order fish, and the fish is like poisoned or something. What do you do? Or the fish has gone bad and everyone's gonna get food poisoning. What do you do? And I answered in character, and I can't remember the exact phrasing, but I didn't skip a beat. I said I would report it to the proper inform everyone, and then inform the proper or report them to the proper authorities. Whatever it was like exactly what the question should have been answered as, and it just was the most beautiful scene, and I'm so happy, and I don't have a copy of it, and I can't wait, but I think that's the scene that'll probably show like the most serious amount of acting on my behalf, although the entire film is a lot of acting, because to play a robot, you have to make a bunch of decisions. It needs to be played not robotic, but she is a robot. It needs to be real, but she's not real. So what I did for her, creating her, was actually use Bella. I felt because she is preferenced and she wants to make everybody happy, because she's yours. So she wants to make you happy, but she also wants to learn, and she's absorbing everything you do. So it was sort of half childlike, half Bella. And so I also created something where if something was okay and she was computing, I made her blink a little differently. She blinked and computed it. And then if they were like fighting, which they did a lot, the two boys, she would get upset. You could see her sort of like overdrive, like what's going on kind of thing. So I did a lot of that kind of stuff with her, and I just made her where she is lifelike, learning things, and sort of, just kind of a real character, but still a robot. So that was hard throughout the movie, but the funnest scene was where...
It sounds to me like the Blade Runner bit. That's where you felt like you were most in the moment. like completely
I thought
lost
it was
in
the
moment.
most that I got to be creative. I thought it was the most fun and the most part where I really got to do something a little serious because it is a comedy. So it was but then it is a comedy because that's what comedy is taking yourself so seriously that people find you funny.
Yeah.
And most people
When you're
that don't know
trying
about
to
comedy
be
don't
funny,
know.
you're not funny.
Yeah, no, you can't try to be funny. You have to really believe the circumstances. I mean, that's the comedy is the, I worked with Brad Garrett. That's who I trained with my comedy. And Brad said, fearless freedom finds funny. That's his thing. And what you have to do is you have to be fearless. You can't think about it, and you also just have to go for it. But also, it's believing it, and being really serious about it, and really committing to it fully. And so that's what I did in that scene. So even it is a comedy, even though I was trying to be really serious, and I was really in it. I don't have to try to be funny because the scene is funny. So that's why when people ask me about the film, I'm like, yeah, it's a comedy. I'm like, everyone else is funny, but I'm not very funny. They make it funny because that's what it is that like Bardot never thinks she's funny. I'm never trying to be funny, but I already know that every scene is funny because it's just funny. I mean, the girl knocks on my door. I'm serious as can be. Yes, come in, let it into my life.
You become the straight man.
Yes,
Yeah.
because it's not that you're being.
So Bardot
funny,
never
it's
cracks a joke.
No, you don't have
she
to
knows
crack
it.
a joke. It's all situational humor. It's all.
That's what it was great.
Sitcom.
And that is because of Mark Polish.
Right.
Mark Polish did an amazing job writing the script, and that's actually why I got onto the script in the beginning. I actually got on before the cast that I told you about. We were supposed to have Chevy Chase, Cuba Gooding Jr., and then something happened with the funding. And they got new producers and the whole thing changed. And we waited a year to do it. And I was the only one still attached.
Awesome. Wow.
Everyone else was recast. I was the only one that they kept. And I got scared around the time because Michael had just started dating Kate Bosworth. And in Hollywood, blondes are interchangeable, I think. And also she was a more experienced actor. Well, I mean, I've been acting my whole life and we're about the same age, so I wouldn't say more experienced,
Has
but
she
had
ever
more
done
work.
any comedy though? She hasn't done any comedy.
No, but she's capable of it. I actually am a comedic actress. I don't know about Kate's
I don't
what
know
she's
that I would
capable
ever
of.
picture her as a comedic actress.
Yeah, I'm actually a very good. Like I actually love comedy and I love laughing and I sort of am very self-deprecating. Like I can laugh at myself and I can laugh at others. And I always try to find the joke in life. Like that's how I get past my days. Like I'm always joking. I'm the happiest sad person you'll ever meet. Because when I'm sad, you'll never know it. Like I've had a bad day. I'm tired today, but I like try to like laugh at everything and I find humor in it. And I'm also like don't take myself too seriously. I don't think I'm better than anyone else and I don't think anybody else is better than me. And I think that's really important for comedy because you're able to let go and be funny and you have a joy for the world and a love of the world, but you also have thoughts about the world. Comedy needs that. Like real comedians are very intelligent. They really have to have deep thought. They have to really be able to find the funny and step outside of themselves because the world can be very depressing. I don't know if you've ever sat home on a day yourselves and been like, oh my God, this world is so effed. Like, I usually go through that once a month.
Yeah.
And then I blame my boyfriend.
I usually turn off.
I blame your
news
boyfriend
now.
too.
Yeah, I blame my boyfriend too. And so I think that's what it sort of is that you sort of have to find the funny. And if you're able to sort of remove yourself from the world and realize that you can't change it, but you can change it, I think you can find funny in things. And so I think that's why I'm good as a comedic actress is because I think on my feet, I'm good at improv, I don't take myself too seriously, I can be self-deprecating. And the whole reason that I'm even here with you guys today and talking so much and entertaining you is because that's what I love to do. I love to either educate, inform, or inspire. And entertain, and that's why I'm actually an actor, which is probably a question you were going to get to anyways.
This is the easiest, smoothest interview conversation I've ever had.
Yeah, I know. That's why I became an actor. And when most people, when most people ask me, why are you an actress? And that's what it is. It's to educate, inform, inspire, and entertain. And that's the most honest answer I could ever give you. And I once gave that to somebody and went into all the detail that I sort of just gave you and a little bit more. And the guy looked at me and he goes, and I was wearing a dress very similar to this, very bright, and it was here in LA, and it was actually at Russell Simmons' house, and I was sitting there, and he just looks at me and he goes, after 10 minutes of me giving him my energy and my time, and he goes, it just sounds very LA to me. And I said to him, that's an LA thing to say. I was like, I'm actually so un-LA, I'm from Brooklyn. Here's the thing, I'm authentic. I'm authentically Brooklyn.
That's exactly the word I was going to say.
I'm authentically Brooklyn. I don't need to dress in, he said, I can't see you on the Q train with a zip up top. Here's the thing, I don't have to do that. That's obvious. Like, I don't need to dress Brooklyn because believe me, I can show you in a second how Brooklyn I can be. I usually tell people, like, I can drop kick you in the face in a second and I will. No, I actually grew up very poor. And I am authentically poor in Brooklyn. I grew up, my dad went to school until he was 8 years old. He raised 8 brothers and sisters with his mom. He had me when my mom was 16, my dad was 17. My dad raised me and my sister on his own and didn't have any education. And I grew up with all my clothes from the church. I grew up with just the necessities and only with my dad and my great aunt who helped take care. And my dad had girlfriends throughout the time and that would help take care sometimes. But it was just me, my dad, and my sister. And my mom ended up having 4 boys with someone else, and she got married. And so she kind of had like her own life, and she would call from time to time and maybe visit us like once a year or something, but she was really non-existent. But I just have worked so hard for everything. I got my first job illegally when I was 12, my first legal job at 14, because you need working papers. But I've just worked so hard for everything, and I really am from the streets. I mean, I was a minority when I grew up, which is another really beautiful thing that I like about myself is that I actually see no color. And I appreciate every culture. And I probably, as a model, got to see the world and really experience life, even outside of all my education. The best education was a school of life where I got to travel and see the world. And I went to so many different countries. And I speak like 20 words in like 10 different languages. I speak Spanish really well because I studied that in school. And my French is pretty good as well because I lived there for 6 months. But I got to travel the world and see all these different cultures. And it really gave me such an appreciation and love for everyone. And that's where I came up with that kind of half of what I told you before, which is I don't think anybody's better than anyone else. I have a saying that no person, place, or thing is better, just different. And that's what makes us great. And it's true. It's no person, place, or thing. Like people say, do you like New York better than LA? It's like they're different. Like, yeah, you know, I love being in New York, but I also love being in LA. Here I do yoga and it's sunny and I have to drive and yell at people. In New York, I get pushed around and it's dirty and it's gritty and people, you know, are more cerebral there in my mind.
It all has its unique charm.
Yeah, it all has its unique charm. And when I'm in Paris, you know, it's like when you're in Rome, be like the Romans, you know? It's like don't try to change the place that you're at, adapt to your environment. And that's, I think, is a New York trait, which he's going to say.
I dragged Steve to the Philippines with me in February.
I've never been out of the country.
First trip out of the country ever. He's almost 50 years old. Never been out of the country until I dragged him to the Philippines.
Usually they say black don't crack, but you know, he's doing good for a white guy.
Our
This
first
is like
night
great
there.
for 50.
Our first night there, he eats balut.
Which is the
The
fermented
little
egg.
fermented duck egg.
It's a steamed duck egg with a twist. The twist is there's a duck in it.
Yeah, like it's not.
Did he know the twist?
Yeah, he knew the twist.
Yeah,
but he
that's
was going to experience
I wanted to
being in the
By the way, I
Philippines.
live like you. That's
It
what I
was
do.
awesome. I was so impressed
Whenever I
with
go somewhere, I even made George like do omakase every day in Japan. He's like, you may have turned me off to sushi forever, and sushi's like a big deal. No, eat. I love that, and that's how another thing about my
We had
life.
chicken intestines. We
Yeah.
had-
Yeah, we had
No, you
chicken
have to
intestines,
do
pork
it. I
intestines.
believe in doing everything
All
at
the
least
stuff.
once and trying everything.
Exactly.
And
The
that's
one thing I
yeah.
won't do is the bullet. But I grew up.
The bullet's crazy. Yeah.
I grew up cracking
I haven't done the
bullet
bullet.
eggs
Yeah.
by
I'll do the
accident.
bullet with you, but I haven't done the
I
bullet.
have
No.
childhood nightmares of bullet. I
bullet,
can't
really?
get over it. Well, I went to cook an egg when I was in like 3rd grade. I didn't know what bullet was yet. I was home alone.
I just found out what bullet was just now.
Yeah, latchkey kid. So I'm cracking open this egg and I pop it down on the skillet, and there's a little duck staring up at me, sizzling away. It just freaked
Where'd
me
you
out.
get a duck egg?
My mom had them in the fridge.
That's the bullet.
I don't even know where you get duck eggs from. I only know about these chicken eggs.
Find a Filipino store. You'll
Filipino store,
tell them you
you'll
want
find-
bullet, and they'll
They'll get
have
it.
it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, and that's another thing about my acting. The reason I was saying to you earlier about when you were talking about the 48-hour film festival, I was like, choose the hardest role. Because I love to challenge myself. So, you know, even as a model, like it was so cold and we would shoot swimwear, and I would never let them give me a blanket or a towel or a jacket. Everyone's there bundled up with sweaters and hats. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen this.
So,
No, but it's more of a thing. It's a mental thing. It's like this thing that I have
what
built
part of
inside of
Brooklyn are
me.
you from?
I'm from Greenpoint.
okay.
But it's just the way that I was brought up. My dad is German, and my dad he was a no-nonsense kind of man. And you know, I think the most important thing that I would love to put out there that is a big deal in life, and I love that my dad taught me this, was accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad was a very accountable person, you know, and it's like tough love. And I was saying that, you know, discussion I was having with somebody about unconditional love. You know, they were saying, you know, there's a difference between like when somebody tells you that there's nothing wrong with you, there's a different, and they think that that's unconditional. So a lot of people don't want to hear what's wrong with them. There's a lot of mothers that like, my son's perfect, there's nothing wrong. And then you deal with these men later on in life as a woman, and the guy doesn't want to change. He thinks he's perfect, and he's unwilling to like admit there's anything wrong with himself. And there's a lot of women like that, and there's a lot of people like that. They just think that they're perfect. I'm like the most.
But Brian blames Mr. Rogers.
He does? Oh, okay. Well, Mr. Rogers was a little.
He was good, but at the same time, he really did instill that everybody's special. Everybody, and they are, but some people aren't as special as others. I'm sorry.
There's too many participation trophies and blue ribbons given out for everybody saying
You like accolades.
You weren't the loser. You were the last winner.
Yeah, and I think that I also am one of these people that need affirmation, and that's probably just because being abandoned from my mom, that I've been analyzing this as I've gone on. I like accolades. I'm the kind of girl I do love, and I think this is going to stay without me throughout my entire life. I mean, it's probably not the best trait to have, but I do need positive reinforcement. Mm-hmm. I do need to know that I did a good job. I will admit this, and that's the other thing, is about admitting and being accountable and like, kind of moving past that. And so what I try to do is admit my mistakes and learn from them. And that's what I feel like with accountability. And that's why I grew up so hard. And so it doesn't matter, like we grew up where we grew up, like the actual city, like Greenpoint is a little bit better than, Bushwick or, other areas. But I went to like one of the most dangerous schools. And I was a minority, and I was, definitely trying to be jumped every day. And you're going to think this is crazy, but I was the poorest of the poor. So everyone looked down on me. And so they called me names like dirtbag and like dirty, smelly, because, I had I wasn't dirty and smelly, by the way. I was very clean. My dad made me take a shower every night, but wash my hair. But because I think you're reluctant to do that when you're a kid. I was a tomboy.
I think my sister Laura still only washes her hair like once a week.
I actually, that's a key to my beauty. I actually wash my hair only like every 3 weeks, because the least you wash your hair, the better. I use dry shampoo, but this is something else that'll be interesting that you guys don't know about me, or maybe you do. I would say the self-proclaimed, and I think we could verify it, and you could probably be universally proclaimed queen of hair. And why I say that is I've done a hair campaign for Pantene. I've done a Pantene Clairol, Kerastase, Redken, Matrix, Garnier, Schwarzkopf. I have done more hair campaigns than I could say of any supermodel that's ever existed, any top model that's ever existed. And it's because my mom has really great hair, and I'm naturally blonde, and blondes tend to have very thin hair. Mm-hmm. I have thin hair, but I have a lot of it. So it's baby fine hair, but a lot. So I've done so many hair campaigns, and that's actually how I did do so well in my career financially, was because that was the biggest paying jobs as a model. I've done lingerie, and I'm all natural. I have no work done at all. I don't even have Botox. Like, everything is just completely natural, and it's just genetics, and also, training a little bit and working at it, but just eating healthy and everything. My hair and my nails just grow really fast, and my everything that I have, I've used as a model. It wasn't just about being too tall, or wasn't that. It was, having the right assets at that right time. And so I did more hair campaigns than any model that's ever existed.
Hair pays more than any of the rest of it?
Beauty. Perfume probably pays the most, because you're going to get in like duty free and like do all that stuff, and you're going to be doing it forever. But hair, lingerie, and beauty pays the most. It's the fashion shows on those really tall waif models that you see that make the least money. Right. Half the time they're not really getting paid for the shows, or they're getting paid in clothes.
Right.
Victoria's Secret, I did, but I didn't have a contract. That's like the best you can do as a model. That's automatic supermodel status. Now, I would say right around the time that I was starting to I did a shoot for Sports Illustrated that never got published. And that was because I ended up, and I think probably this was the moment in my career where my talking got me in trouble. And also wanting to do the hardest thing got me in trouble. When I was doing the interview for Sports Illustrated, where they're trying to determine if they want to use you, which, by the way, they can choose anybody in the entire world for Sports Illustrated. The women asked me in the room, "Can you swim?" I said, "Oh, yes, I'm amazing." And I was like, I've done this underwater shoot, and I bragged about all these underwater shoots that I could do. I didn't realize that it was actually going to hurt me. I did an underwater shoot with Howard Schatz. The makeup artist put on a lot of makeup and some waterproof makeup. I kind of looked like a clown and a little bit of a transvestite. They didn't put a tan on me, and if I did have a tan, it got washed off in the water. Now, if you look at any Sports Illustrated, these girls are as tan as can be.
Right. Mm-hmm.
These girls are in the sun, on the beach, in the sand. I was in a pool, in the Hamptons, underneath the water, with clown makeup, one pieces that were not even attractive, and my skin was being pushed by the water. So it wasn't looking good. And so my agent just said that they didn't want them to use the shoot. And so they did not use me again. They were upset because we wouldn't let them use it. I didn't get Sports Illustrated, and that was the year that Brooklyn Decker ended up getting the cover and all this stuff, and we started modeling together. So I was kind of a little disappointed that I did get myself in a little bit of trouble by, me, if I would have just let it go, I would have been on the beach. And I'd probably be further along in my film career, because it does help you when you're on the cover of Sports Illustrated or you're in Sports Illustrated. And so I'm okay with it, though, because it's not the kind of films that I want to do anyway. Right. I don't really want someone to book me like that. I started off as a theater actress. I went to the neighborhood school Playhouse, and I'm more of a cerebral actress anyway. I mean, I'm very intellectual about it. I like working hard. I like making art. I like Fellini. I like doing that stuff anyway. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, if I probably would have gotten a big film boost, because she's got to do now, not that I'm comparing my career to Brooklyn, but I think that path could have gone that way if I would have had a better shoot for Sports Illustrated. But yeah, she went on to do like some big blockbuster films. Right. And she also married tennis star Andy Roddick, who's extremely attractive and amazing. And he called her from Sports Illustrated. It's been put out there that she got called.
Her and that's
they called her. And also the same story with John Legend and Christy. I know Christy as well. She was a Sports Illustrated model, and they met that way. A lot of Sports Illustrated models, even Giselle. A lot of these girls that married very successful people and athletes.
There's no denying the exposure you get from that.
It really does help you. But you know what? That was another thing that I think that also held me back. A lot of people called the agency for me. This is something people probably don't know or know about, is that celebrities would call to want to date us. And I never went on any dates with any of the celebrities that called to date me or be introduced to me. So they have your publicist call the agency. And I just dated, for 7 years, I dated a doctor. He was an English guy. We actually broke up 3 years ago, and that was somebody that I was with for 7 years. It was like my whole modeling career. And it actually held me back a little bit, because I would choose him over a lot of jobs. And also, I wasn't in the public eye, and I wasn't doing...
out on the scenes getting
No,
shot,
I wasn't. And I was sort of a
boyfriend.
recluse. And he was this English guy, and he was really about being taken seriously. So anytime that... He also held me back in the fact that he didn't want me to do anything that he felt was publicity. Like, oh, if you're a real actress or if you're a real model, then, you should they should suss you out. And, Daniel Day-Lewis, he goes and he's a cobbler and he's in Dublin and he won't take any roles. And so he did put it in my head to become a little stuffy and, not really be in the public eye. And it did hurt me, because you do need to socialize a little bit. You do not really network as a model, but you do need to socialize and be in the public eye. I was never in a tabloid. I never dated anybody. I stayed away from everyone, and he sort of made me a little bit that way. So that also hurt where I was in that aspect. But again, that does kind of be who I idolize.
But again, you weren't in the tabloids.
I think it's a good thing. So I think
because the flip side of that is not necessarily good either.
Yeah,
that you are in the tabloids, you are on TMZ, you are
right. And so I think
there's got to be a balance.
Even though it makes my life harder in the fact that it takes a lot longer to book the roles, and even sitting with you today, I do have 9 things on IMDb, and I think Russell Simmons is the one that told me, like, girl, listen to yourself. Because I was like, oh, this is not working, and it's just not moving fast enough. And because I had instant success as a model. I booked guests in Abercrombie & Fitch my first week. I worked with Bruce Weber and Antoine Verglas and Terry Richardson and Ellen Van Unwerth, and I got to work with Rafael Mizuko. My first year of modeling, I worked with probably 10 of the top 25 photographers in the world, and it all came so fast, and I was making so much money, and everybody loved me, and everybody wanted me. And so when you come to Hollywood, and it's harder, and you have to prove yourself, and they also are looking at you like you're beautiful, so you can't act. And then I have to prove myself, and then every role that they're sending me for is the beautiful girl, which I'm not even good at. I actually suck at playing the beautiful girl. I am the worst beautiful girl you can book. I suck. And every time they send me for sexy girl or beautiful girl and they think I'm going to get it, I tell them I'm not going to book that job, because the sexy girl that they're looking for in LA is plastic and I'm natural. I'm the sexy girl in New York. In New York, I'm considered sexy and voluptuous. Here, I'm not. I'm not considered sexy. And
unless you have
so
these
bizarre.
deep curves and
and I actually am a C. I'm 34, 24, 34. Like, I am what they would say is like ideal proportions. It's 10 inches everywhere, and that's all natural, and that I actually, when I first started modeling, was a D, and I actually had to reduce, and all I did was work out to get that way. Yeah, I just, I'm just all natural, and I think when they look at sexy girl here in LA, I know you're about to say something, they're looking for a plasticky tan Barbie doll, and I'm not that. I'm a natural, even though I'm thin, I am wholesome. I am a natural girl who eats healthy, eats whatever I want, and I represent like what a normal woman is. Yeah. Sort of, I guess.
I would say,
but I'm not a size 6, I am a size 2.
I will say to you, when I get to the point, and it's my intention to get to the point where I'm casting some big films myself.
Yeah.
You are what I would prefer to have over that plasticky LA Hollywood look. And I think it's a crying shame that this industry right now is so skewed in such a weird way on what they think is beautiful. And it's just mind-boggling.
Yeah, if you look
it's
at
mind-boggling
what's
what they
out
call
there,
beautiful.
they all look alike.
Yeah.
It does.
And to me, that's just like, I don't want to see the same look in every single film. I want to see
difference.
Variety.
Yeah, and I think we are getting there right now. I mean, with all these different films that are coming out, I think right now, this is probably going to get me controversies. I think right
We're
now,
a small podcast, not that.
what's in is like ethnic. I think that came along with when Obama came in, and I love it. I think it's great. I think it's I don't like when we take things to the extreme, like we're really trying to make something politically correct, and when everything has to be okay, we need to cast an ethnic girl in there. Like when they'll actually change the script to make it sell. But that's just something that's been going on for a long time. So right now, the most popular thing is to do is to have diversity in the films, which by the way I love, and I completely get it, and I do think that's wonderful. But when it gets to an extreme where they're like, we have to cast it just because, and that's the thing, it's like that's the way acting is. It's like, oh, we need an ethnic girl, we need this, we need diverse. And that's interesting because there's some people that are like, I'm not even ethnic, I'm actually white. But they're like, no, but you look ethnic, you're perfect, we'll send you.
It's bizarre. But I think like the Fantastic Four movie that Fox is looking to do to reboot that franchise. Last I was reading is they were talking about changing
the characters to be ethnic, which is totally fine.
Change them all really young, which Fantastic Four shouldn't be that young. But turning
the main character,
the one main character, the
Mr. Fantastic,
the Torch guy, they want to turn him into a black guy.
Yeah,
which is okay. Why though? That's my question. Like, give me a good reason.
That's
why.
That's how I am. Like I feel like it should fit into what it is, and like I think when you're doing a film that's like a normal film, and it could be any ethnicity, that's fine. But when you're dealing with a very character specific kind of thing, and something that was created, I think that we don't have to make a statement. Like I don't think that it needs to be politically correct. Like I think
making the
world,
statement is a racist statement.
That's how I feel. I feel like sometimes, I think sometimes we, and I mean, you guys have seen my boyfriend's actually, he's actually mixed. His mother's actually, she's biracial, so she's actually black and white mixed. So she's very light skinned, but she's actually black if you really think about it, because that's how I think they do it. If you're black, then you're black. Even if you're black and white.
Right.
And that's how he is, and he considers himself a person. But at the end of the day, I mean. Obviously, I'm not talking from a racist point of view, but I actually do feel that it doesn't need to be politically correct so much that we have to make somebody a certain race just to sort of promote the movie.
We had discussed this earlier
it should be authentic.
today. With Wild Wild West, with Will Smith in the role. I mean, it's not that it was racist that he was in that role, it's just that it didn't fit.
Did it not? Okay, so
it didn't fit the time. No one would
if you ever want to sit down and watch a movie and just kind of go, what the hell is that?
Right, and as an artist, I think that you want truth. You want truth.
You want truth. No one will believe that
in the Wild West, because it was a racist time.
Yeah. It was a very racist time.
Oh, well, I mean, I think Texas is still racist. Well, I think Arizona's got it topped, right? They're like the top racist state.
Yeah, they're trying. They're trying very hard.
But Texas is like, even now it's hard to sort of have equality there.
Well, I went to Texas for college, and I'm half Filipino.
And by the way, where does the Wild West even take place? I'm gonna, I don't even know.
It's a western.
It's Western.
Arizona.
Where does the Wild West really come in? It's that that whole
New
little
Mexico,
basin,
Arizona,
right?
California.
New Mexico, Arizona. That's what I thought.
They were
That's
in
what I
Idaho
thought.
because they were at Promontory Point for the.
Right. I know. At any rate, I went to Texas for college, and I'm half white, half Filipino. I look a lot more Mexican most of the time.
I was about to tell you that.
Than I do either of those.
Or you can even look Samoan.
And I get that a lot too. That's just because of the bulk, I think. But
And by the way, I have a thing for faces. Like I actually look at people and I try to determine where they're from.
And so I go to Texas, and it was the most bizarre experience for me because, I was born in Idaho.
Yeah.
I grew up mostly in California. I spent a little bit of time in Ohio, but my dad really tried to raise us in California because he felt that was the best environment for us to be around multicultural environments and not feel out of place, because he knew if he raised us in Ohio or Indiana where he grew up, we'd feel really out of place, especially in the 70s and the early 80s before there was a lot of Mexicans in Indiana. And so I grew up with Asian friends and Mexican friends and Canadian friends.
And this was in Los Angeles?
San Diego, mostly.
Oh, because San Diego is very future forward. Like it's really like
it's a great town. And so I moved to Texas for college, and I'm out of the nest and I'm on my own, and it was the first real experience I had.
How Caucasian would that have been? Like 98% or 95?
Well, I went to Waco, and it was predominantly white.
That has white in its name.
And it was
it was
the first time in my life that I truly felt like a minority. I'd never felt that way before. And it was because when I went back to Indiana, my dad had laid the law down with the family. Like, he is
That's
family.
good. That probably gets you all the chicks,
racial
though.
jokes, whatever.
Because you're like the bad boy outsider. Like you're different.
I had fun.
That helps with the chicks.
I'll say that. I had fun in college. But I did not have fun with the Texas Rangers and all the state troopers. And I got pulled over
all the time.
So much in Texas.
So you can even look Italian to me, like far away. So, like I wouldn't even have known.
So I should have gone into acting.
See, I don't look at you and think ethnic.
Yeah, and I don't feel ethnic, until it's thrown in my face.
But I also
and, hey,
think that I also think that like I said, I think differently. Like I had a guy say to me, and I won't get too much into race, but I was dating a guy a couple years ago. Actually, he looked very similar to George. Every once in a while, people think that he's George. If they haven't seen me in a long time, they go, "Oh yeah, I met you before." George's like, "No, I don't think so." They look the same, and I remember I was telling this guy that was a friend of mine for a little bit. I was like, "Yeah, I know I'm dating, so and so," and he goes, "Oh yeah, I always heard he was into white girls," and I was like, I was so confused because I never considered I never considered myself white to the guy that I was dating. I just considered him.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't. And I think that people, when they hear somebody that is as white as me, because I'm whiter than white, I'm not as white as you get.
No.
Physically. You're actually pretty white.
Now, I'll admit I have a type.
Yeah.
There's a type that I like.
People will think I don't have a type. But
it is very pale skin.
Very pale skin. But I was going to say, I think people would assume that.
But that's just a preference. It's not that. I've dated a Japanese girl. I've dated, other types, but inevitably I'm attracted to a certain type.
Okay, you're attracted to a type. I'm not.
But I mean, everybody's different, and that's
I've dated every single race. I've dated Indian guys. I've dated Asian guys. I've dated blonde hair, blue eyes. I actually tend to go for dark hair, dark eyes, but it's not a skin thing. It could be I just like brown hair, brown eyes, probably because I'm so pale. I've always just gone for that look. I usually like tall, dark, and handsome.
Well, and maybe
that's always
why
the look.
maybe that's why I like.
Yeah, because it's a different
women, because it's just
opposites
different
attract. There's actually a scientific reason for that.
Yeah,
it's homogenous.
It helps diversify the genetic.
Yeah, because if it doesn't get if it's homogenous, it actually you don't weed out any of the things genetically that are not really that they want to be weeded out.
Yeah,
they're not. What is that word? What am I looking for? Genetically. I can't think of the word right now, but I'll get it. But
Predisposed.
Well, I was going to say predisposed, but no, genetically preferred. There's another word that I'm looking for, but anyway, it doesn't. It's not preferred because it's actually going to keep the same diseases. Even mixing black and white is actually really helpful because a lot of blacks or Africans have sickle cell anemia, and a white person cannot get sickle cell anemia. And sickle cell anemia is actually something that was created to help them not get malaria. because the mosquitoes, they actually affect your cells, and when the cells are sickled, they think that it's already infected, and it doesn't work. Malaria doesn't work on someone with sickle cell anemia, and that's why the cells were sickled, and that's why they have that. And so that, and white people don't have that. The same thing, like I'm actually Jewish. No, people don't know that about me. I'm half Jewish and Catholic, but I was brought up Jehovah's Witness and Methodist, and I went to every single thing. So I call myself
my dad tried everything
monotheistic.
too. He's like, I want you to take a look at everything and then make a decision for yourself.
So
because
I believe
your faith should be about your own.
Yeah, I believe in the Creator. So I believe we were created, and I believe that there's a Creator, and that, whether that you want to call that God or Allah or Yahweh or Jezwa, whatever you want to call him, to me is the Creator. So I do believe in something, in a greater power, and that we were created. But I'm not actually sure I believe in just a specific religion. But I grew up with a lot of different ones. And anyway, I think I lost my train of thought with the
Sickle cell anemia.
Oh, Tay-Sex is, with Jewish people. So, and there's also inbreeding with that, you can't get Tay-Sex if you're not Jewish. It's just the way it is. So those are just a few examples of why, it's actually good for us to actually, mix with each other, like around the world. And I think that what's going to actually bring us together, believe it or not, I've been watching a lot of Ancient Aliens. I don't know if you guys know about that.
Yes.
So I believe that we're actually hybrids. I know this is going to sound crazy. I'm actually open to the possibility of everything unless it's been proven wrong. So there's laws and there's theories. So everything that's a theory, I'm like open to.
That was the first part of our interview with Cynthia Kirchner. I hope you've enjoyed it. It is fascinating to sit with somebody whose mind works so fast. And be sure to check out part 2 coming in a couple of days here at theintellectual.com. And we continue on the discussion about Ancient Aliens, and we talk more about the craft of acting and where Cynthia would like to end up in Hollywood. And it's definitely one to check out. So we'll see you here again at theintellectual.com for episode 32 with Cynthia Kirchner on the Intellectual Podcast. This episode of the Intellectual Podcast has been brought to you by Audible.com. Audible.com has over 100,000 titles for you to download and listen to on your iPad, iPhone, Android, or really any mobile MP3 device that you might have. So if you're into audiobooks and you are looking for the absolute best, show your support for the Intellectual by signing up for an Audible trial at audibletrial.com/TIN. That's audibletrial.com/TIN. And show your support for the Intellectual Network by signing up for the free trial with Audible.com.